Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 22.11.1.8. Operation Bosch. This is the super secret name for our totally planned takeover of 2023. By planned, I mean 100% post-Moistmust wing, taking of the YouTube and subfleet. Bork and batteries not included. Welcome everyone to This Week at Twitter, or Twat. And today we're gonna start with True Geordie, who has had, let's say, a big raise in popularity owing to an interview with Tyson Fury where he arguably said everything that a boxing fan was thinking. He's not a journalist. He was holding Tyson to a mark because he's fighting Derek Chisora for a third time. What makes it so embarrassing is when they fought for a second time, Derek had to quit in 10 rounds because Tyson was beating the crap out of him. It was embarrassing, it was boring. The only good fight on that card was Eubank Jr. versus Billy Joe Saunders, after 4 rounds of Chris Eubank Jr. doing nothing, because he trained himself. Eventually, Tyson Fury rage quit. True Geordie benefited from this, because honestly, it raised his profile. People, yes, were going in on him, but for the most part, we were on his side. And then he had some words to say about Andrew Tate. Now, Andrew Tate is a taboo person online. He's been yeeted from most platforms. Andrew Tate, I believe, is Muslim, and what has been dubbed an off-the-cuff remark, well, has kind of cost him, True Geordie that is, because he had said that Andrew Tate should blow himself up in the context of those that believe themselves martyrs for their respective faith. It didn't go down very well, so True Geordie has been for the most part trending this week. Many dubbing True Geordie Islamophobic, others saying, well, if you've watched his previous podcasts, the early ones especially, is this a surprise? Many have started digging up where he said things that are sexist, referencing his released, I believe, DMs concerning Sket. Don't go into that. Don't Google it if you don't know what it is either. I wouldn't recommend it. But things like that have all been doing the rounds. Andrew Tate did respond and understandably was not impressed with the remarks True Geordie had made. For the most part, popular opinion appears to be that True Geordie was in the wrong. And there's a point there. True Geordie had responded with a 22-minute fully monetized I'm sorry video. It wasn't very good. Carvos has done a dissection of it. By all means go check it out. No, I'm not linking it. The top comment on that video says, give this man an Oscar. 30 seconds apologizing and 22 minutes feeling sorry for himself. And that's a problem. It's a YouTube apology. It falls into every cliche trope a YouTube apology has. And that's quite tragic. But understandably he would do this because he was going to lose things. He knew this, he had to get ahead of it. The problem is, it's 22 minutes. At most, it needed to be 1 minute, simply saying, I, Brian, am very sorry for my very ill-thought-out remarks towards Andrew Tate, and in turn for any offense I caused, the Muslim community, and Andrew Tate. I will do my best to learn from this, and be a better person going forward. I am again sorry. That's not even a minute. That's all you had to say, but then you had to prattle on and waffle. So the consequences. PokerStars on Twitter. We have terminated our contract with True Geordie with immediate effect. At PokerStars, we are committed to making poker as inclusive and accessible as possible, and do not tolerate any comments or attitudes that don't align with our inclusive values. This one intrigues me for a few reasons, mostly because the majority of the Muslims I know don't care for gambling in the slightest, but I get the point about being inclusive. Gymshark. We do not condone racism, discrimination, or Islamophobia in any form. We do not agree with the comments made by Brian, and we have suspended our relationship with him indefinitely, effective immediately. My Protein. Following an investigation into the comments made by True Geordie, we terminated our working relationship. At My Protein, we stand firmly against Islamophobia and all other forms of discrimination, and expect the same values to be upheld by all our ambassadors. I don't like the word Islamophobia. I don't think it's a fear. I think it's a religious intolerance. Why can't people say this correctly and stop misusing the word phobia? But that's 3. But there's a 4th consequence. Twitch have banned True Geordie. Now I believe True Geordie podcast was live showed on Twitch, so that's a big hit. All these sponsorships and affiliations, are financial hits. There's a possibility in the future he might not get as many guests onto his show. His apology has not been well received. It may have a lot of likes, but we don't see the dislikes. Based on the views, those likes don't really reflect what you would usually get for a video of any kind. An apology, this was not a very good one, and as a consequence, he has lost a lot of revenue source. In your apology video, you reference that Andrew Tate just didn't like you, and that your comment was off the cuff and with a total lack of thought, along with it being an unrealistic stereotype. You didn't need to say any of that. You just needed to focus on what I've already said you should have said in the first place. Public apology on every platform you use. Very public apology. Get ahead of it so you in turn don't harm your brand. And let's not forget here, True Geordie brand was doing well. It could well rebuild because of this. But like all things, it comes down to whether or not you can for one moment resist the urge to take shots at things that will lead to very negative consequences. Take me for example, I don't touch religion for the most part. Why? Because I'll inevitably offend somebody because I don't care about religion, but I'm very honest about my lack of care towards faith. Regardless of who you dislike, don't pick on the parts that you know will cause the greatest outrage. Andrew Tate can be flayed for many things. Ignore the religion and focus on everything else. This week has been quite a busy week for Just Stop Oil. They've been causing enough disruption to the M25 that an accident occurred because of what they have been doing, optics of which do not make them look remotely good. You can add to that when one of their own appears on Sky News and screams at the presenter about who do you value more, oil or your children? Or the fact that a man, courtesy of LBC, we now know some people have missed their own parents' funerals because of this disruption, and they do not want to support Just Stop Oil because of that emotional damage. After a week of causing mayhem on the M25 via Just Stop Oil's Twitter account, statement: Just Stop Oil halts M25 actions. From today, Just Stop Oil will halt its campaign of civil resistance on the M25. We are giving time to those in government who are in touch with reality to consider their responsibilities to this country at this time. Part 1 of 6, but I'm going to introduce a bone of contention. Civil resistance. Illegal. Civil resistance, you were court-ordered not to be there. 2. We ask that the Prime Minister consider his statement at COP27. Oh, you mean the thing he flew out to? Very environmentally friendly. Where he spoke of the catastrophic threat posed by the ravages of global heating and the millions of people displaced by floods in Pakistan and the moral and economic imperative to honour our pledges. Part 3. You don't get to recycle words and promises. You owe it to the British people to act. Today is Remembrance Day. We call on you to honour all those who served and loved their country. 4. Take the necessary first step to ensure a livable future and halt new oil and gas. The UK government's failure to do so is a criminal dereliction of its fundamental duty to protect and safeguard the lives of its citizens. Subjects, you mean. Also, when has a government ever done anything really that benefited the people? Really troll your brain and you'll realise this is pointless. 5. And is an act of utter betrayal of billions of people living in the global south. It is murder, plain and simple. The supporters of Just Stop Oil are now the people upholding law and order and protecting civil society under British law. 6. People in this country have a right to cause disruption to prevent greater harm. We will not stand by. You do have a right to protest, 100%. But when the law states you cannot be somewhere, you don't then go and flout it. The reason you're doing this, by the way, to look magnanimous in some sense, is entirely because you know damn well, legally, Just Stop Oil are in a mountain of trouble. The legal troubles you are going to face are going to cost you. While I have no doubt you have some rather wealthy backers, some of whom are a tad hypocritical for how they got their wealth, that will only go so far. And expecting a government to impact any meaningful change when the current government's goal is a net zero by 2030 or 2040 is laughable. Again, we are not even in the top 16 of the biggest polluters on this planet. If you'd like to protest in a country that is inside the top 16, I highly recommend our nearest neighbour, Germany. Just an observation of things I've noticed since Elon Musk has taken over. He's become what looks to me like the new Trump, in the sense that he is going to tweet something, even if it's something innocuous and pleasant, and he's just going to be dogpiled regardless. I assume because some want to test their limitations and see whether or not they will get blocked, or whether they'll get banned, testing that free speech area basically. So Elon Musk on Twitter, please note that Twitter will do lots of dumb things in the coming months. We will keep what works and change what doesn't. That's important to reference because Twitter have brought out this, or had a double checkmark thing, where some that had been verified had a checkmark next to their name but also under their handle, with Elon Musk replying to one person because he had noticed it's gone, "I just killed it." And that makes sense, to be honest, because the double checkmark thing made no sense. Elon Musk also tweeted out because I assume he also realized he's become that person, the punch bag of the internet. Complaint hotline operator online. Please mention your complaints below, with Tim Pool replying, "Double verification defeats the purpose of verification. It's confusing and makes an elite versus pleb scenario. Not doing identity checks for $8 blue checks makes them not even real verification, so nothing is gained. I'm corrected, it's gone, glad to see it. Thank you for your support, Elon, 5 stars. Isn't it nice when, not long after you tweeted one thing, it just happens to correct itself? What amuses me though is, when people get a blue check mark, to me it's a verification of the identity of the person. But now if you've got Twitter Blue, and on iOS only, not Android yet, and certainly not in the UK, you can be verified and made to seem like you're better than others or more official than others, compared to people who are notable names in like government, news, entertainment or other, which makes no sense because they're also nobodies. What I do like, and I don't know if this is true or not, is that Elon Musk had tweeted out, going forward, accounts engaged in parody must include parody in their name, not just in the bio. To be more precise, accounts doing parody impersonations, basically tricking people, is not okay. Count Dankula, aka Giant Penis, brackets parody. Hello Elon, you seem to have disabled name changes. I was wondering when that would be turning back on, as I appear to have gotten myself into a bit of a situation. I don't know why you were willing to get the verification in the first place, or be verified. You change your name so often, which is a breach of their own rules for verified accounts. So I'm kind of confused, but you know what? You do you, boo. Sorry, you do you, boo. Giant Penis, brackets parody.